So I worked for a former company for about 15 years. I was able to build a book of business, but I didn't feel like I was able to provide everything I felt like I needed to provide to my clients. I also didn't feel like I was able to build my business the way I wanted to build my business for people. But it got to a point where I didn't feel like I was able to grow. It got to a point where I wasn't able to fulfill what I thought was in the best interests of my clients and the people I care for. And so they got to a point where I was wanting to find something new, a new opportunity to be kind of my own boss. So I knew Heath and Hannah from years ago, professionally. I had a really good relationship with them before. They had gone independent some 5 or 6 years ago. And a fun story was about a year and a half ago, my wife we were driving back from our beach vacation, and we had talked about me going independent for years. I was driving and she looked over at me and was like, okay, it's time to leave. You need to go find a new place and go independent and all that kind of stuff. And it was funny. So we got home and my mom texted me, Hannah, this lovely person seems very nice and wants to talk to you and all that kind of stuff. I knew who she was talking about. And I just kind of looked at it as like, that's an interesting coincidence. So anyways, called them up, started the process of, is this a good fit for us? Is it a good fit for them? And it was a grand slam. So it was a really exciting opportunity because I knew there was other things that I could be doing. And they showed me all the things that they were doing for their clients. Opportunities, that I had discussed that I wanted to do for my clients, and sky's the limit. And so that was really, really exciting. And, since I've moved over, that's been the case. It's been the best thing I've ever done professionally, the best thing I've ever done for my clients who have come with me and who I'm continuing to build. They see the value in it's always been tailored to what they want to do. It's always been tailored to their situation, their individual situation. But now there's just kind of a wide open space to really add more value to, what they want for themselves, what they want for what they want for their families. So it's been a tremendous deal. So that's kind of the story how I arrived here.
What I love about the job is I love the markets. I think it's super interesting. And I also know that,
Most of the clients don't know what this is or are well versed in anything. And so I love complex strategies, whether it's call options, whether it's business structures, whether it's executive structures, how does it all relate to everything for that individual client? And so being able to kind of hone that into a person's personal situation is fun for me because it's also a creative outlet, right? So like everybody's very different. Every client of mine is very, very different, from risk tolerances to, goals and dreams and those kinds of things. And that's fun for me because I know every client what they want to do, and I'm able to explain a very complex situation to a very digestible amount. So they know exactly when they walk out of my office, they know exactly that I'm taking care of them. Because as a fiduciary and just even as a relationship aspect, I just genuinely love to take care of people. As a fiduciary, I'm responsible as they are, or as I am for their money. So being able to explain that to them to where they're walking out of my office and they feel 100% comfortable and trusting in me explain it to them, that they understand it to whatever degree that is, right? And that builds that trust over the course of time that, yeah, Caleb, this is very, very complicated, but thank you for explaining it to me. And just being able to boil it down, because if you have, 5 different moving pieces, that can get overwhelming if you don't know how everything works together. And so being able to have that concise plan and understandable in a very complex world, I hang my hat on that. So like I said, I utilize all kinds of different strategies. I watch the markets daily, earnings reports, volume, all that kind of stuff. So I enjoy it. And that's why I love my job, is because I get to relate those two things with helping people with something that's very complicated and also something that's very important. You could interview any client advisor in the industry, and logistically, we can all do the same things. We can all buy stocks and ETFs and all that kind of stuff. We can all do the same stuff. Ultimately, it's always been in my business about a relationship and trust. Who do you get along with? Who do you trust with one of the most important things in your life, your money? You worked really, really hard for your money. Like, you've saved it, you've risked it in some ways, shapes, or forms. You have kids, you have grandkids, whatever the case may be. So who do you want to call and either, chat with for fun stuff about things that you like to do? Who do you want to talk about complex things in your family? Because sometimes we're psychologists, Who would you trust to give you the best service in that relationship aspect? Who would call if you emailed them or called them or texted them or whatever, at 10 o'clock in the morning? Would you expect the person that you're interviewing besides me to respond pretty quickly?
even as simple as that sounds, a lot of people fall short of that. I don't. I never do. Even if I'm out of town, like I'll even let you know, hey, I'm out of town. You know, is there something I can help you with out here or whatever? So I'm basically on call, you know, a lot. So who do you trust to do all that? You have a very complex situation. You have a very unique situation. Everybody does. I get to know you on a personal level, so that way that what I'm doing on my end of things is absolutely in your best interest. And then when you walk out, we're always a team. So, you know, you're going to go out and do your thing during the day, and I'm going to go take this off of your plate. It's going to one less thing you have to worry about, one less thing you have to stress about, and you're going to understand it because you're going to be comfortable with it. You're likely not going to get that anywhere else, but here and at New Wave. Worked with this, she was the sweetest thing. And she had brought her daughter with her. And she was in her 80s. And she just, I mean, I can't stress how, she reminded me of my grandma. Like just almost perfectly reminded of her. So every time I got to spend time with her, it was just like spending time with my grandma. It was that great. And she loved me to pieces. And her daughter also loved her to pieces. Well, she passed away. She had 4 kids. 2 of them were kind of local, but 1 for sure. As you can imagine, doing an estate settlement is a very complicated and big deal, but I knew where everything was. I knew what she wanted to do and how she wanted to do it. And I also knew that the family wasn't really well versed in settling all those kinds of things. And as you can imagine, it was a big job, and I'm happy to do it. So I did it. And so I corresponded with all the kids across the country and got them all their stuff they needed to do. And even to this day, like we just saw her just the other day, and then the other daughter emailed me the other day, and you know, same kind of a thing. Like that just reestablished a better relationship through all the kids so 3 of the 4 kids are my clients now. We have a very great relationship because of the way that I handled that situation.